Americans. Now, when I walked up this morning, although it's been 7 years since I retired, one of the first questions I was asked was, why aren't you in your military uniform? When I told that gentleman that I had my uniform out this morning, I was ready to go, all my awards were ready, but I couldn't find the shoes, but I could still fit the uniform. So next year I'll look for the shoes earlier, sir. No, but I just wanted to say thank you again for being here today. I know we've recognized our elected officials. Thank you again so much for being here. Any other elected officials we may have omitted, I'd like to personally recognize Colonel Oden here. Colonel Oden is one of the Board of Trustees at South Carolina State University, sir. Thank you and your wife for being here today. And he's also a retired veteran and certainly a leader in the Sumter community. Thanks for the invitation to serve as your keynote speaker today. I'd like to first recognize my dad, who's in the back row there, Rufus Conyers from Manning. And although my dad did not serve in the military, he certainly encouraged me to serve. As we're in the midst of high school graduation, as I was nearing high school graduation at Manning High School in 1983, he told me, he said, son, you've got two choices. It's either books or boots. And I'm taking your bed down the day after you graduate from high school. So I joined the Army at 18 years old and served for the next 32 years. Thank you, Dad. And my wife, Agatha, who's here up front with me, who served with me for the last 23 years, moving across the country. In our 23 years of being married, I asked Agatha to pick up with the children and moved a total of 13 times. And I have my daughter, Allie, with me, as noticed earlier as well. But most importantly, I want to thank each of you today for truly understanding the assignment for today. The assignment today isn't to honor living veterans like myself and many of you. The assignment, as was mentioned earlier, isn't to go shopping at the many Memorial Day sales, though many of us will do that as well. Instead, the assignment today is to honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice while serving this country. Those who gave all, more than 1 million since the Revolutionary War. Those who we attended memorial services for. Those who never came back and who we leave an empty chair for at events. Those whose names the first sergeant calls, and after 3 times with no answer, the solemn sounds of taps are played. Those who we have performed the 3-round volley for and presented the American flag to a loved one. Those like my best friend and high school classmate, Specialist Gregory Walker, who at 20 years old died with 240 other soldiers from the 101st Airborne Division, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, on December 12, 1985, en route from a deployment, and they died in Gander, Newfoundland. Yes, these honored Americans have died at home and abroad while serving. Now, if you will allow me just one moment before I go on with my Memorial Day speech, to speak briefly about another war Americans are dying at home from. This war is gun violence, and the Americans who are dying are innocent children. For those who took the same oath as I, we swore to protect and defend America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Brothers and sisters, I say to you today that gun violence is a domestic enemy. When I think about our young children dying, I cannot help but to think about the American lives we honored here today, which was lost in other countries, so that those children can have better lives, among other things. I think of the empathy that I had for the young children of Afghanistan during my year of combat, where I prayed and hoped for better lives for the children of Afghanistan. Yet, I vividly remember thinking that I may not see my children again. I vividly remember the night I wrote a letter to my 6-year-old son and my 4-year-old daughter to be opened if I did not return. So forgive me for asking myself, why, if we can bring all forces and resources to bear to save other countries and children like we should, why can't we do the same to win this war for our children? But that's another speech for another time. Back to my Memorial Day speech. On this day, across the nation, we find our flags flying at half-staff, Memorial Day parades of servicemen and women, and memorial structures of valor created within parks just as this. Within these scenes can be found valor and sorrow. It is fitting that we recognize and memorialize our fallen comrades in the most beautiful ways. Yet, the why still haunts comrades and families alike with the sorrow of losing a loved one. As a retired officer, I can tell you that I recognize all sides, so I know the sorrow, and I celebrate valor in service and sacrifice. Today has been set aside as a time to reflect upon our fallen comrades. Memorial Day is a time we take to honor